Friends, family, and fellow scouts. Throughout my scouting journey, there have been numerous people contributing to my success and helping me along my path to where they are all here today, listening in the same room. With that being said, I would like to thank everyone for being here today and anyone who has helped me on the way. You know exactly who you are. The Buddha says that one moment can change a day, one day can change a life, and one life can change the world. Listening to that, you all might think that when I walked out of my board of review on March 10th, 2022, as an Eagle Scout, that would be the moment that changed my life. However, it's not that moment at all. For me, my one moment that changed me the most was walking to Fellowship Hall for the first time as a 5th grader, having no idea what I had ahead of me. I was surrounded by big high schoolers who had known each other for extended periods of time, or they were just strangers to me. There were these 5'10" monsters, being generous. It did not take me long to see how this whole thing worked and learning how to do something, getting it approved, until you get to the Eagle thing in a few years. So I figured I would give it a shot. It was that moment, the first time I'd ever set a long-term goal for myself, that would be the moment that changed my day to change my life. Now, if I wanted to, I could stand up here and talk about every single trip, memory, my project, every friend I've made along my journey in Troop 3, but we'd run out of time very quickly. However, if there was one thing I could highlight, it would be on a day in July 2019 that I'll just never forget. A tradition that comes every summer in Troop 3 is summer camp at TL Store. And anyone who knows anything about Troop 3 knows that summer camp and Mr. Chris Rogers are always in the same sentence. And when it came to arriving on time, potentially even early, Mr. Rogers was always all over it. That being said, every year, on the day of arrival, my mom, along with Andrew's mom, would drive us to Mr. Rogers' house at about 6:45 in the morning and take us to drive up to store with the trailer behind us. This year was probably about an hour into the ride when we heard something happen on the highway. Having no idea what it was, 2 minutes later, Mr. Rogers casually said to myself and Andrew, "The tire's done. You gotta pull over." On the trailer. Sorry. Mr. Rogers didn't hesitate to pull over into some big parking lot on the highway and inspect the situation. As soon as the car stopped, Mr. Rogers instructed, "Brian, grab the jack out of my truck. Andrew, there's a spare in the trailer. Take some pictures." At this point, I was 15 years old and had little to no experience changing a flat. However, when Mr. Rogers asks you to do something, you do it. Somewhere along the way, in replacing this tire that had been destroyed, Andrew had the idea of, "Hey, Mr. Rogers, why don't we just call AAA or something?" To which Mr. Rogers replied with, "Andrew, by the time AAA gets here, I'll be sleeping in my tent." Grab the spare. Eventually we got the trailer jacked and the spare was hooked up, we were ready to go. And the reason I chose this moment to come up here and talk about it was a funny story, but also it had 2 valuable lessons in it. Several. Listen to Mr. Rogers, don't rely on AAA, and be prepared. As an Eagle Scout himself, Mr. Rogers was prepared with a jack and a spare tire. And if we did not have those things, we'd probably still be in that parking lot or have listened to Andrew and called AAA. I feel like a scout, whether we're up here today as Eagles or sitting up there chipping away at tenderfoot or something like that, we're prepared for life. I began my speech with a broad thank you to the countless individuals who have helped me reach this point where I'm in front of you today. And there's just a few people who have made a very significant impact on me in Troop 3 that I just deserve a quick shout out. First are these 2 guys up here. As I said, my first year in the troop, I was an individual who didn't exactly have a lot of close friends in the troop, and I was definitely the outlier. As time went on, I got to meet so many people, these 2, those guys up there, anyone else who's left, and it really changed a lot and really brought meetings and trips so much more fun. And I get to call those people my closest friends now. This experience wouldn't have been the same without them, so thanks you guys. And finally, there's someone who has done more to help me on my road to success than anyone else in this room, and that's my mom. Whether it was driving me to my meetings, she would not stop talking in the back of the hall to the other parents, or signing me up for online merit badges during COVID that I just didn't even want to do. or constantly lighting the fire under me to finish my project and even write this speech. Without my mom, I know for a fact I wouldn't have reached a point where I had 52 merit badges, 6 poems, which I'm now learning is a Troop 3 record, which is pretty cool. And I probably never would have even written this speech. So thanks, Mom. Thank you all for being here today. It's been a pleasure.